No Harry Potter movie is
And
good.
you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gonna put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello everyone, so I'm back for the spoiler review of Dune. So as you can see, it says spoiler alert. That intro might have been a little bit loud. I forgot to fix the volume thing, so it might be being a little bit loud. I'm sorry for that, but I'm here to talk about Dune. And that's all that really matters. And now this will be a spoiler review, so obviously yada yada spoilers, don't do them here. So fun fact, just before I start, because I wanted to mention this. Apparently it's like this crazy number of people aren't subscribed. It's like I think it's like 50% or something like that, some 50 to 60%. That's a fact I read, and apparently, yeah. So that's like a thing, and that's very disappointing because I thought everyone loved to hear my voice. So the fact that there are people who don't like it, but still, you know. So if you do like hearing my voice, then just click the button. It's red. It's big. Shouldn't be that hard. Then like and comment, all that stuff. Follow us on social media, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I'm done with that. Let's talk about Dune, because all of the spoilery stuff, at least. So if you've seen it, or you want to see it, I highly recommend you go watch it before you watch this. But if you want to watch it, then I can't stop you. So let's talk about spoilers. I'm done with this right now. Okay, cool. So if you want to hear more about the technical aspects of this kind of movie, and because I thought those were really good, that non-spoiler review will focus a little bit more on that. But as I got in a comment on my non-spoiler review where they talked a little bit about the characters, I wanted to kind of use this spoiler review as a chance to talk about kind of story and character a little bit more, and the acting and a little bit more of what I found about that, because I didn't get it fully expressed out on my non-spoiler review to try to avoid spoilers, as is the point of a non-spoiler review. So with that being said, that. And I think the most unique thing in terms of all of these characters, to be honest with you, was the fight scenes, right? I'm gonna make the Dune logo image go away too. Yeah, there you go. Was the fight scenes and the body shields. I think that the whole idea of the fight scenes was interesting, right? Because you had this case where these fight scenes were really well handled, and the body shields, I think, actually even added a little bit to that, because it gave kind of everyone extended life almost. So you didn't feel as much like hordes of faceless soldiers dying, especially in those kind of big fight scenes. Especially when they took over the palace in the movie, or it took over like the castle thing, right? It didn't feel as much like a mindless fight scene, because everyone had a little bit more of a life, right? It wasn't just this kind of Star Wars situation with battle droids and clones where they're all just dying, right? And I thought that was really good. And the effect of the shield, as you can see on the picture in the screen, was also very cool, and it gave kind of a unique color to the fight scenes, because you would get the blue, the red, you get that kind of hologrammy kind of situation. And I thought that was really cool, because it gave another, again, a visual kind of effect to the fight scenes. Kind of used to use Star Wars again, right? The kind of like how lightsabers and the Force would give that kind of visual effect to the scene, so it isn't just boring, right? There's a little bit more to it, and I thought that was really good, because sometimes those fight scenes do get boring when you have just the same and same. It gives a little bit of color, Jedis are blue, green, whatever, and the Sith are red, right? It kind of gives that kind of color clashing, and I thought the shields did that as well, because it gave it a little bit more texture almost, right? Visual texture to this fight scenes. And I thought that was really cool. And now I want to talk a little bit about performances acting, now that I kind of talked about the fight scenes and the shields, which I really did like. So when it comes to, let's talk about the first performance, which is Rebecca Ferguson, who's played the mother, and kind of, that's covering that, who played the mother and kind of played like this almost witch type character. And, she was good, but she wasn't great, and it kind of felt like she was just being kind of just playing herself. And even then, she was the most unique kind of member of the cast, right? Like, it didn't feel like it was special. It kind of just felt normal. Like, she gave a good performance, and as the kind of mother / mysterious witch role, but there wasn't much to it, like, there wasn't any depth almost. I don't know. It just the performance itself felt very kind of like, yeah, I believe it, but it isn't like, oh my God, this is like a revolutionary performance type thing, you know? Like, do I see any of these actors getting nominated for Oscars? Probably not. And, you know, even Timothée Chalamet. Now, I'm someone who personally does not love Timothée Chalamet as an actor because I just feel like, you know, he feels very, like, he's had a few good roles. Call Me By My Name, for example, is a good role he had. But I think that it was just, sorry, clicked the wrong pictures. But I think that the roles he had are kind of a little bit more, almost like, you know, just kind of the same, right? It kind of felt like he was like from The King, right? The movie on the picture on the screen. Or another one where he kind of had some, you know, where he's kind of like that ruler type guy, right? And it definitely had some amazing moments where, you know, especially the one that keeps coming to me is the one where he was in the sand tent, you know, toward, I think, the second half of the movie. And he used the voice, I guess, on his mother. And that was a really good scene, really powerful scene. And then he kind of started crying. And that was like a very powerful scene. And I think that was probably the standout scene for him of the entire thing. But other than that, again, it kind of just felt normal. Now, Zendaya is an interesting one, right? Because Zendaya is someone who was almost absent from the film completely, besides in his dreams. And so it made it very difficult to kind of judge her performance. But I remember, and actually this is something which really did stick out to me, was in the toward the end when she actually met Timothée Chalamet's character Paul, and they actually were. It was right after he kind of killed the guy in combat, and she was leaning up against the wall, and she was kind of like it kind of like her tone and her vibe kind of gave me really just this quick kind of like MJ from obviously Spider-Man vibes, and it kind of just, and I think. Although it's really hard to kind of, you know, give her anything because she for the most part was just standing around in the dreams. But I think that one scene. I don't know why, but it just kind of hit me as like, huh, like because I know she can give a different performance, and she probably, you know, will in the next movie. But you know, when she has more to do. But I think this one, at least that one scene, I don't know why, but it just kind of stuck with me. And I think that was one of the scenes toward the end, obviously, which kind of solidified my kind of view in my head of this idea of the actors kind of just being in the same roles kind of thing. Now, I don't obviously blame it on her because it was, again, just a few scenes, but I don't know, it just felt, you know, kind of samey. And again, you know, as the person in the comments, and I want to give credit to them, so I'm just going to see if I can find the comment, but they made a very good point, which was about kind of how it wasn't, I guess, a focus of the actor to an extent, right? It was about the visual, Millie Dancer from... who commented on the other one, and on like the non-spoiler review, and I think they're absolutely right when it's like it's not really about the acting, so you know, you can't really give them that same you know, criticism because again it was about the scenes and about the visuals, and you're kind of trying to go from place to place, and you're also trying to make sure it can fit in a 2.5 hour time frame, which obviously you had to do. Now, when it comes to Oscar Isaac, it was very interesting that. Although he didn't do much, I don't think I have a picture of him here specifically, but he kind of didn't, it felt like, you know, it was unique, but it was just, like, you know, it's hard just, I don't know, maybe it's just me because it's hard to see him as not Poe Dameron, because that's like in my head, right? But it's kind of like, I don't know, I felt like he was unique because I couldn't think of a role he was in where he was similar, yet it was still very Poe Dameron-like. I don't know. Oscar Isaac is an interesting one too, and I want to see what he does, obviously, in his next, I guess, or probably one of his next big roles, which is, of course, with Marvel, because that'll be because typically speaking, either with Marvel you're going to fall into more of who you are, or who it seems you're going to be, or it'll be the exact opposite, and, you know, you won't fall in at all. And that'll be interesting for sure because I think that's something where, you know, and especially as a character like a Moon Knight, which is so unique, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But I'm not going to get to talking about Moon Knight now because I'm going to talk about DUNE, and it's apparently not been 9 minutes since I started recording this, which is kind of wild. And then let's talk a little bit about Jason Momoa, because he was someone who, and I'm going to have to talk a little bit of the sacrifices as well in the movie, which I liked. But Momoa was interesting because he again kind of felt like himself, right? You think about it, and I had here's the other Jason Momoa one. So, you know, you see kind of this view of, see how he here is very much like he was in things like an Aquaman, a Conan, right? He's that same kind of character, And now Jason Momoa is someone where it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I get that, right? You know, Frontier, all those other things. Like, it's the same kind of warrior kind of dude who's, you know, with the funny side, because he probably had the most jokes in the movie. But I don't know, that was kind of just like, you know, Jason Momoa, right? And that's kind of what I mean. And I don't know if you see a pattern here, and I'd love to know what you think down below about this, because I could be completely wrong, and it could just be me. But I don't know, I feel like there's a pattern here. And then when it comes to Josh Brolin, let's talk about Josh Brolin a little bit. So I think that, you know, Josh Brolin was a little bit different, and I think I've got the other Brolin image somewhere here, which I don't know where I put it. I should have probably put it in like a nice, easy way. Here is Brolin's, this one. So this is the other Brolin image, and this is the other one. There we go. So yeah, I think that Josh Brolin himself in this was like, again, kind of in that falling into that role where it's like Cable, Thanos, right? You know, it's kind of that same demeanor, same tone almost, right? Especially Cable, because Thanos is, again, kind of different, but Cable especially, again, they kind of just fell in that same kind of role. I don't know. Maybe, again, it could just literally be me, but I don't know. I think it isn't. And then the other person, obviously, who had a big role I want to talk about was Dave Bautista. Oh, actually, no, the one more thing about Josh Brolin, sorry. I just kind of realized when I looked at my notes that I missed something. And it was actually when he was doing the training scene with Timothée Chalamet's character. And that was kind of like the moment, and you can see in the picture there, that's the scene I'm talking about. But it was kind of the moment where I kind of wait a second, you know, that's kind of him playing himself as he did like in a Cable, for example. Now the other big one was Dave Bautista, and I think again, you have a case where that's the wrong picture. You have a case where Dave Bautista is kind of again playing just Drax, right? You know, you've got a case where he's kind of just playing the role we know he plays. You know, he's like, he was more unique again, and we didn't get to see a lot of him, and I think we will obviously going forward. But again, it kind of felt, at least from what we got to see, that he was kind of just going to be that same kind of character. But and again, you know, he's a little bit different just because he's not a traditional actor. He kind of came into acting, but so, you know, he could end up following that rock trajectory where he just is the same thing over and over, and he's very successful with it, and it's good. But I don't know. I just felt like and there were times where the plot did fall flat, kind of, as I kind of transitioned away from this character stuff, because I think I made my point. And, you know, I think there were times where the plot was slow, and that was mainly so that we could kind of admire everything. And now, this did have to be 2.5 hours, and the question is, or 2.5 hours, I know I said 2.5, and, you know, the question then becomes, did it have to be? Is it going to be worse because it was 2.5 hours? I don't know why I keep saying 2.5. I don't know. But, you know, at times it certainly felt like, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I see. I get it. Okay, I get it. Especially, and I don't know, maybe again, it's different because the nature of the movie, right? Because you have a movie where it is set primarily on a planet where there's a lot of sand. And maybe it is a factor of kind of the sand, you know, it's kind of like, yes, there's little differences which make it cool, but at the same time, it's also just sand, so how much of it do we need to see, right? And again, was everything like like all these pictures, right? You look at all the pictures from the movies, you know, the ones on the screen and the others, they all look like they just go into a magazine, right? But that's what the movie was, and I think that was something which, again, you know, it kind of makes sense. Like, because you look at a Blade Runner, it's not like it's the greatest plot in the world, especially the sequel, but it's visually good to look at. And technically, it's good. You know, and especially in this one, the sound, you know, the way the sound is integrated with the talking and the music, right, is really good. And I think that's, I think, what makes it big. I don't think it was the plot per se, because I think the plot was just like, yeah, there's a book. We're just kind of following the book. And again, I don't have much knowledge of the source material, but I think the fact that they're kind of like, yeah, it's a book. We're following the book. But then we're kind of, you know, also talking about other aspects of this. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. But I want to know what you guys think down below. I know this is like a 14-minute. Oh my God, it's almost 15 minutes. But let me know what you thought of the movie down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow us on social media, all that stuff. And yeah, let me know what you thought of the movie, because maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just weird and I'm thinking weird things. But let me know what you think down below. Did it feel like this? I don't know. I thought the performances weren't standout. There was nothing where I was like, that is a great performance. And maybe it's the nature of the fact that it's a sci-fi movie. I don't know. But just let me know what you think down below, because I'm interested to hear what people think. And as always, see you next time. Bye.